Hello, hello, and welcome back. This is Into the Dungeonverse, episode 19. I see we have some people popping in. Make sure you grab your supplies. We're going to be getting started here very soon. Thank you for tuning in to our episode today. This is the last day for our interactive quest for this week. We will be continuing next week, but for this week, this is the last interactive quest. So we're kind of wrapping up this part of our story, but there's more coming. So don't worry, there's going to be plenty more of what you've been getting. So thank you all who have been here. We really appreciate you stopping in. Remember that this program is brought to you by New Minds Enrichment and New Minds TV right there. All of our videos that we post are saved on our Facebook page, but then they are also put on newminds.tv as a repository where you can go and watch all of them. So if this is maybe your very first episode of Into the Dungeonverse and you're like, what is this interactive quest? This sounds super cool. My recommendation would be hop onto our website and go find episode 6 of Into the Dungeonverse. That's actually where our quest begins. So I'd recommend starting there. And then you can catch up to us and be caught up to what's going on, and your character will have all the skills, abilities, items, and sidekicks that you could possibly want or gain from our earlier quest. So keep that in mind. If this is your first one, you're welcome to hop in today, but hopping back to episode 6 is going to give you the full experience and really let you know everything that's going on in our story and in our tale. So as always, I will go over the rules just briefly. I do want to announce for everyone that we have, and I'll mention this again at the week, we do have a Star Wars role-playing program that's opening up next week. Mr. Walter from Round the World with Mr. Walter is going to be running that, where he's going to be taking players through a very, very awesome experience as they are on an outer rim planet in Star Wars, playing smugglers, bounty hunters, colonists, engineers, fighter pilots, all sorts of different things. So I'm posting the links to those in the comments. We have different age groups. We have different times on Tuesday and Thursday, and we also have one on Saturday that's just kind of open to multiple ages. So definitely check those out. I'll mention it again at the end. But I think it is time for us to start moving into our quest. Make sure you have your paper, your pencils, and all your supplies. I'm just going to check and make sure that all of my stuff is good really quickly. I had one issue that I wanted to correct. All right, I got a confirmation message from Mr. Dorian. Fantastic. All right, so for those of you who have been in this interactive quest, where are you at right now? What has your character's experience been since we have entered? What skills have you gained? Have you gained any items? Yesterday we got into some different things and we had a chance to maybe gain some special items. Did you gain any of those? Do yours look any different? Did you put some flair on it? All right, so I'm gonna give just one moment for you to get all of your stuff together and make sure you have that. And then what we are gonna do is we're gonna start our quest. So give me just one moment and we will be hopping in. Alrighty, thank you everyone for your patience. I just had a couple technical difficulties I needed to handle before we got started, making sure that you have a smooth experience. That's a great time for me to announce that this is actually probably going to be our last live video, but you will still be receiving Into the Dungeonverse at the same time every day that we have been doing it. To increase our production quality, we are going to be pre-recording videos and releasing them, so you'll be able to pause them whenever you watch it the very first time. So, without further ado, let's hop into our quest. Thank you for bearing with me. And let us begin on Into the Dungeonverse. The quest continues. Of course, we have our methods of randomization that we use, like coin toss standard die, which is the D6 or six-sided die that you find in Sorry and Yahtzee and the standard board games around your house. We also have the D20, which is standardly used in role-playing games like D&D and Pathfinder, Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder. And then finally, we have a randomization table that you can also use. This is our difficulty table. I'll pop up the difficulties for you whenever we need those and they're appropriate, but if you want to use this for your own games, feel free to pause, take a picture, and you can create your own adventure stories using this difficulty chart and table. It's a method devised for anyone to be able to use and for that level of convenience. All right, and here's that randomization table I was talking about. You can, of course, make your own, but here's a template for you to take a look at. You can edit that. You can create your very own actions and results to fill in. That's totally up to you. So feel free to use that. All right, and then make sure to record what you're doing on your character sheets. You will, I say it every time, but you will forget all the stuff that we do because we do so much in each episode. So write those things down, even if they're just like a little picture of what you're doing. And there's a template for us, but let us move on to where we were last time in our quest. So you had arrived at a new planet. This is potentially the source of your distress beacon, the thing that brought you here from the Dungeonverse in the first place. And as you came to the planet, you investigated a derelict vessel. How you did that is totally up to you. I'm curious what you did. Then you arrived on this blue-tinted planet. The sand has a kind of blue hue, and the beacon was leading to somewhere nearby. It wasn't long that you were on this planet before you started being attacked by some varying vessels. You started being attacked by these ships. They started shooting you down, and Remy, your airship captain, now your starship captain, took you down and dropped you off, saying that she would shake them off. And that is where you left your companion, Remy. You arrived at an ancient-looking temple and came across a very mighty and intense duel between these two robed figures, one with a green lightsaber wearing brown robes and the other with a red lightsaber wearing black robes. If you're familiar with the Star Wars universe, surely you know what those things represent. And as that battle increased in its severity, the brown robed figure took an opportunity to stun her opponent and then passed you her lightsaber. It came soaring through the air, guided by another force, if you will, and arrived with the message that you must go and you must flee. As when you turned to see, well, we'll get to that in a second. I want to make sure that everyone writes this down. You did get rewards. You now have a lightsaber in your inventory. So anytime that you could use a lightsaber, you now have one. You also, if you did not have the force sensitivity skill, you now do have it. That was that little pop you felt yesterday in your head as you got near to the temple. That was you gaining force sensitivity. Now, if you already had force sensitivity, if you moved something in a previous episode, in case this is your first time, I won't spoil it. But if you already had force sensitivity, your force sensitivity is now increased. You have a level 2 force sensitivity. That is going to benefit you in different encounters when you have the chance to use the force. All right, and we left with you being guided toward a speeder. There's a small device attached to the lightsaber. It's beeping, indicating a location. You know that this is telling you where you need to go. The speeder is there. You can see that people are already prepped. The Sith had yelled out to what you believe is their companions or their subordinates, and they started scurrying over the rocks to capture you and to regain the lightsaber. You now hop on the speeder, somehow intuitively knowing how the controls work. You immediately know the keys are already in the ignition. You immediately know how the thruster works. You balance yourself and you take off, moving through the trees. So I hope you have everything you need for your challenges, because right out of the gate we have our first challenge. The chase is on. Are you going to try to lose them in the trees, get behind them and take them down, or deploy probes with fake signals? Remy is flying around overhead in a dogfight. You could easily call out to her on a device you have. It appeared in your pocket. You know it's a comm link. It allows you to communicate to your ship. So you can choose. You could call out to her. You could even try to do something else if you call out for those probes. So are you going to, one, lose them in the trees, two, get behind them and take them down, or deploy probes with fake signals to kind of throw them off and maybe get them to attack the probes instead? Make your decision. The speeders whine behind you. They're trying to get a shot lined up as they're weaving in and out in between these trees. Take a moment to consider. Of course, if you're watching on your own time, you will be able to pause. You zip out into the forest. Is your character low over the speeder? Are they enjoying it? Are they trying to do a trick? They're like standing up on it. Maybe they pull off their hat and they're pulling like cowboy style. How does your character do this? Remember that I'll reveal the difficulty and the results in just a second, so try to make your decision here on this slide, so that way your decision reflects what your character wants to do, not what you think is most likely to get you through. If this is your first time, make sure that you write 20 out of 20 on the top of your character sheet, because there is a chance for you to take damage if you fail some actions. I'll give you just a moment longer. But if you are watching at home, go ahead and pause it here. If you are watching live, make your decision. Are you losing them in the trees, getting behind them to take them down, or deploying your probes with fake signals? Let's see what the difficulty and result is for each of these actions. All right, difficulty and result. Let's start with the probes, because that is going to help us out. If you have Remy release probe, you can have her release any number of probes that you want. You have 3 probes unless you lost one in an earlier mission. Each probe that is released, it will be destroyed because they're going to track it down and shoot it, but it will lower the difficulty of one of these actions by 1. So right now, both of these actions are labeled as very hard. You can lose them in the trees, and if you fail, you're going to lose 10 hit points as your speeder takes multiple hits as they're kind of lining up behind you. If you succeed, you twist and turn, causing some to crash in the trees, allowing you to escape. Very hard as well for getting behind them and taking them down. Maybe you slam on your brakes, maybe you do a quick loop, maybe you weave around a tree, maybe you grab a vine and swing around. However you do it, you try to get behind them. If you fail, you're going to take 12 hit points of damage, because this allows, as you're fleeing, you hear a poof, an eruption almost, and you see all of these rocks flying out. And you don't know exactly what it is until you see this robed figure moving behind you. Their lightsaber is going to fly through the air. And if you fail, it's going to damage you for 12 hit points, and it's going to slice through part of your speeder, burning you. You'll still be able to make it through the forest, but you are damaged. However, if you succeed and you destroy the speeders, you can catch a +1 blaster pistol as you ride by. You may also lower the difficulty by 1 with the targeting program if you received that in yesterday's episode, or if you have the shoot 'em down skill. And you can also use both and stack this with probes. So you have the potential to take this down to easy, actually. And I did forget to mention and write down that if you're trying to lose them in the trees and you have the ace skill, you would have gained this by flying through the asteroid belt successfully. If you have that, you can also lower your difficulty by 1. So that allows you to lower your difficulty by 1. So remember that these both start at very hard. Let's move on to the next page so you can see what your lower difficulties might be if you decide to use the probes, or if you have one of those skills that were available to you. So there we go. If you have used the probes, take it down. Start at hard. If you have one of those skills, it goes down to hard. If you use probes, you can even take it down to very easy, which means you only have to get 1 head, and you get to flip twice, actually. So that's a pretty good chance of you being successful. Make your rolls and determine what your action was. Make sure to record your hit points, and then we'll continue on. Does the lightsaber slash through your speeder? Do you end up taking down the people who are chasing after you? How does this go for you? Do all your flips? Do all your rolls? Maybe you're playing a game. If you want to create your own elements, maybe you just have a Nerf gun and you're going to see if you can hit a target across the room. You can absolutely create physical elements. Remember that this is a story that I'm only telling part of. You're creating everything else. So no one's going to know if you're cheating, or no one's going to know if you change anything. It's not cheating. You're just telling the story that you want. So make sure you tell the story that you enjoy. Make sure you play it the way you enjoy it. If you enjoy doing more physical things, maybe you want to actually have a target to shoot at with your Nerf gun. Make sure it's okay with your parents to set it up first. All right, finish up those rolls. See what the result is. Mark everything down. If you gained a blaster pistol, and you already have one, now you have two, so that's pretty cool. Maybe you can sell one. If you're watching on your own time, go ahead and pause because we are moving on at this point. As you break away from the speeders, even if you failed, you are going to kind of get some distance from them and be able to get in. You just took some damage while you did it. You can see that a structure lies ahead, and it's almost guarded or surrounded by all of these tall tree trunks that you have to weave in between. If you trailed down or you went behind and you try to take some people down, you might even hear the Sith moving through the trees behind you. Maybe further behind because they're running. They're not on a speeder themselves. They're just kind of jumping from tree to tree. In the scanner, you can see it's telling you to go right inside. You need to get the lightsaber there. The comlink or the data pad is telling you that. Get the lightsaber to this point. So you go hustling into this temple. You leave your speeder. Maybe you jump off of your speeder. Maybe you let it skid. Maybe you just park it nicely and put up the kickstand. You can choose. But you move into this area. It's dark inside the temple. The scanner is beeping rapidly, telling you that you are just within meters of your destination and of your goal. You feel and hear that voice that spoke to you earlier, and it just says, "You are almost there. You must go. Use the saber." And then you hear, "Wait. Watch out." And when you turn around, you see the black-robed figure has arrived. You're partway down the hallway, and they hold up their blade, and they're turning it on. What is your choice here, as you see the black-robed figure, who apparently can survive a temple falling on top of them, glaring at you with yellow-orange eyes from beneath the black hood? Will you engage them in a lightsaber duel, turning on the blade that you've been given? You believe the red button should do it. Will you use the Force to block the entrance, pulling down rocks like the Jedi that you saw before? Or will you flat out run away from your foe? I will give you a moment to ponder this decision, as this is very important. The foe that you are facing now, you can tell, is very strong. A coldness emanates from them, but not just like it's a cold anger. You can feel hatred just rolling off of them. And you know that this person, if you could even call them that, wants nothing more than to destroy you and to reclaim that thing that you're holding. Their eyes might even be glaring at that saber with an intense rage. So what will you do? Will you engage them in a lightsaber duel? Will you use the Force to block the entrance? Or will you run away? You do not understand what you have become involved in, says the red lightsaber wielding figure hisses at you as they walk in, and as you determine what you are going to do. Maybe you glance over your shoulder and run away immediately. Maybe you hesitate for a moment, take a steady breath, and turn to face them. Or maybe you immediately start using the Force. You may choose. Take a moment longer to decide. If you are watching on your own time, this will be a good opportunity to pause, as we are going to move forward in just a moment. If you are watching live, try to make your decision before you see the difficulties. So this is based off of what your character would do. All right. Pause now if you're on your own and you're not ready. We are moving on. All right, difficulty and result. This is a historic moment because this is the first extreme difficulty you have seen in this game. If you engage them in a lightsaber duel, this is extremely difficult. You have never used a lightsaber before. You have no idea how to wield this effectively, and you are facing someone who is apparently quite powerful. So good luck. You will need to get 8 heads in a row to succeed. If you fail, you are going to lose 20 HP. This will be enough to take out anyone unless they have a health benefit from a previous episode. The Sith will defeat you and the dark side will grow stronger. If you have any hit points remaining, you may run away in this moment as they gloat and as they relish in your fear and pain. However, if you succeed, you are still going to lose 10 hit points. This duelist is just too good at using this weapon, and you have too little experience with this light, incredibly dangerous blade, because it doesn't weigh hardly anything at all. So you'll still lose 10 hit points as you receive slashes and burns across your forearms, and the Sith is going to be wounded. You will succeed in that. This will give you the opportunity to flee, and you have gained the duelist skill. You know that you need to flee after battling them, because even though you did your best and succeeded, you still were wounded and you still were not able to defeat them entirely. So that is an extreme difficulty. All right, up next is using the Force to block the entrance. Now this one does have 2 different difficulties because it determines on what level Force sensitivity you have. So make sure that you have that accurate to what it should be. So if you use the Force to block the entrance and you fail, the Sith will extend their hand straight out at you and lightning will crackle forth and you're going to be hit by it. You're going to take 8 hit points and you will still have a chance to escape down the hallway as the lightning will actually make some of the rocks rumble and fall, blocking the path. The entrance the entrance will collapse if you are successful, and you are going to be unharmed. You may escape without any issue, and you will not be damaged. And then finally, my face is covering it up a little bit, so I'll move that for you. Give me just a moment. If you decide to run, which facing a foe like this might be one of the best options, this is actually still hard. If you fail, you're going to lose 10 hit points as lightning will crackle across your back and hit you directly, like right on your back. It's going to cause the stone to collapse just as it did before, and it's going to give you a slight chance to escape, though your back is smoking and you can feel burns just all across your spine area. Your back. I just try not to say back again. So it's going to give you a chance to escape. You'll dart into the next room, dodging lightning if you succeed, and you're going to hear the collapse of stone as the tunnel breaks down. So make your rolls for this one. Extreme if you're doing the lightsaber duel. If you're trying to use the Force to block the entrance, it is going to be hard if you have Force sensitivity level 1. However, if you gained Force sensitivity earlier in the show, you are going to have Force sensitivity level 2, which means it's going to be a medium difficulty instead of hard, so significantly easier there. Make your rolls, and if you're running, it is a hard difficulty as well. This is a challenging situation. Remember that if you ever reach 0 hit points or if you are defeated, your character has the ability to awaken once more at the beginning of their day or at the beginning of their quest. So you can go back to the beginning of this episode or a prior episode and try again. This is kind of the special power or superpower of your character. It's this ability to just return. So make these rolls, mark down what happens, and we'll finish up our story for today. As you arrive in this last room, you can see finally what you're here for. If you're watching on your own time, of course, take this moment to pause. If you are watching live, make sure that you have your rolls made because we are going to move on. Of course, you can always come back and pause later on. But let's continue on with our story. You escape the Sith. Perhaps you are terribly wounded. Perhaps you made it out and you are feeling good about yourself because you handled that Sith. pretty well, even though you're still wounded. Maybe you blocked the entrance. However it happened for you, you make it around the corner and you can see the scanner is just beep. You are there. You have arrived at the place that you were supposed to be at. And then you will hear that voice once more. You're there. Now, put the lightsaber on the pedestal. Quickly! Before they get to you, you can hear the stone moving behind you, or you can hear them stepping down the hallway, and you see the stone pedestal in front of you with these symbols, and one that you recognize as a lightsaber. You take the lightsaber and you place it inside of the pedestal, and as you turn it on, you're going to feel yourself rush into the handle of the lightsaber, and then suddenly, you're gone. But you will reappear somewhere else. When you come back to consciousness, you're holding the lightsaber still. It's in your hand, but it's not on, and you're in an entirely different place. The forest is gone. The battle is gone. The Sith behind you gone. The temple gone. You're standing in an open space, and you can hear the hum of civilization, but it sounds different. There's these whirs and these rumbles, and as you look around, you can see things flying through the sky in the distance, but you can also see a temple, a peaceful looking temple, no war, nothing. And you can see robed figures like the one you saw before wearing the brown robes moving about, and at the very top of the stairs you see two younger individuals battling. Their lightsabers are out. One is green and the other is blue. They seem to be sparring, and as you examine them and you look closely, you recognize the Jedi and the Sith that you saw before. They look younger, the Sith looks happy, but they're different. What is happening right now? Where are you? And we will end our session there. Where have you ended up? You're no longer on the same planet. Remy is not in the sky. And you see the person that you're pretty sure is crushed underneath a temple right now, sparring with the person that they were battling as if they were mortal enemies before. They're laughing and playing, enjoying themselves. Where are you and what is going on? What in the verse is happening here? You'll have to find out next time as we continue this story next week. We will move back into the story. We are going to a different setting and a different place within the Star Wars universe, but we are staying here for just a little bit longer. Normally we will switch kind of week by week to different places, but Star Wars is one of those places that we need to spend a little bit more time in. So you are going to spend a little bit more time here. We're going to continue on that quest. We're going to see if you can figure out what is happening, if you can determine how you can help or what you're supposed to do to help. Because remember, you were called here to help. So we'll end it there. I hope you're excited to see what the next part of the story is. We have some very cool stuff planned as you're going to continue on. I appreciate you all being here today. I want to take another moment to remind you that we do have a Star Wars role-playing program opening up next week. This is real, true blue role-playing game where you get to be linked up and speak with your game runner directly. So as I would describe the room, I would say, it's full of these things. There's crates stacked up. You could say, I want to look in one of those crates. What's in there? And then I can respond to you in real time. This is the way role-playing games are meant to be played. It is fantastic. So we have those on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. We have 2 separate times on Tuesdays and Thursdays, one for 8 to 11-year-old and another for 12 to 16 years old. And then on Saturday, we have it open to all ages because we have absolutely had great sessions with 8-year-olds and 16-year-olds actually in the same room. It's amazing how this activity can connect people beyond ages. It can allow you to form friendships and bonds with people that you never thought would have been possible before. So any information that you want about that, the links are in the comments, but you can also reach out to me directly, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. If you're just tuning in here at the end, I'll be hopping off here in just a second. You can go back and watch the video. There were some technical difficulties at the beginning, so I think we actually ended up starting around 8 or 9 minutes. And I do apologize for anyone who stuck through. I appreciate you being there, and I'm so sorry for that. Now, of course, we'll continue to strive to improve and accelerate the quality of product that we provide for you here. So thank you for tuning in to some real inspired learning. Remember to always pursue your passion until it becomes your talent. This show, Into the Dungeonverse, was brought to you by newminds.tv, where all of these videos are saved for your further view and pleasure. You can go back, you can watch other episodes, but it's not just this show. There are tons of others, so check them out. Up next is Around the World with Mr. Walter at 2 o'clock. He'll be taking us to some different places, so make sure to check out his show if you haven't already. And we will catch you tomorrow for some role-playing resources, as I'm going to drop a video that will explain how to start a quest, how to create a story that you can all play. And I'm going to make it in such a way that can be applied to multiple role-playing games. I'm just going to give you kind of the narrative hooks and some of the encounters. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for being here. We will catch you on the next quest. I hope you have an excellent day, and we'll see you tomorrow.